And now you can see the Backseat Mogul Show in all its video glory on our YouTube page at roughedge.tv.
Rough Edge FM at roughedgefm.com.
There's no better place for breakfast or lunch than Harbor Cove Cafe. This hidden treasure, located in the beautiful Ventura Harbor, is locally owned and operated and serves your favorites like hamburgers, sandwiches, and fish and chips, as well as island specialties like their delicious Loco Moco and famous Hawaiian burrito. Enjoy the magnificent view of Ventura's famous Two Trees and the Topa Topa Mountains while you sip on something from their full espresso bar, or perhaps tip back a cocktail mixed up by the legendary Dazu Prime. For more information, please visit online at harborcovecafe.net or give them a call at 805-658-1639. Harbor Cove Cafe, located at 1867 Spinnaker Drive in the Ventura Harbor. We'll see you there.
Showbiz is a cruel and shallow money trench, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs for no good reason. There's also a bad side.
This is the Backseat Mogul Show, live here on Rough Edge FM. You think I'd be ready, wouldn't you? But that's just not the case. I am R. Scott Bolton. I am the Backseat Mogul, and this is the show we talk about show business. We got a couple of things to talk about. I got a number of things to talk about today that are all pretty cool. And I'm sitting here with Johnny D. Johnny, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Scotty B.
How are you this fine morning, sir?
I am fine as kind. I'm as peach
Fine
as
as
a peach.
kind.
Fine as kind.
Okay, what does that mean?
I'm fine.
I mean, isn't Hawaiian snacks called kind?
I have no idea. I've never been to Hawaii.
Oh.
I know.
I'm going next week to the island Kauai. We're going to be there for 2 weeks. It rained over 12 inches of water in just a few hours. It's always really wet on Kauai. It's a jungle island is what they call it. But that's a lot. And it's actually got me a little worried.
Yeah, but doesn't the water soak in like it does in Florida when they have rain? The water?
No, it's the flash flood warnings. They've had the rivers there have forged new pathways through people's homes. It's a lot of rain. In fact, there's a mountain there, and I can't remember the name of it there, but that at the top of that mountain is one of the rainiest places on earth, like the top 2 rainiest places on earth.
I did not know that.
So it's a very rainy place. The nice thing about it is when you're in Kauai and it's raining, it's still 70 degrees. So who cares?
Yeah.
But it's a lot of wet, and I just don't want any more destruction. They had a lot of roads that got wiped out last time they had rains that serious, and it killed off a lot of businesses because the roads were closed and people couldn't get to them. So I hope that it's not that way again, and I hope there's no more property damage and no loss of life, because it's pretty heavy. The rains there are torrential, sir. So speaking of which, there's a movie, I believe it's called When It Rains. It's not the name of it. Hold on, I gotta look it up. Anyway, they mentioned it on the Academy Awards this year because it was the first movie to win a special effects Oscar. And I want to make sure I get it right, because The Rains Came from 1939 was the first film to win the Oscar for a Best Picture. I found it. 1939. I found it, and I have gonna watch it here real soon. I'm curious. What did good special effects consist of in 1939? Yeah. Now, had it been 1933, what would have won?
Come on, dude. Stars Born.
Come. Yeah, for special effects.
Oh,
Come on. Come on. I'll give you a clue.
No, the original Ben-Hur was black and white. Let's see.
You didn't get that clue?
Well, yeah, I did. I was trying to figure out how to come back on that.
Don't. It's King Kong. I'm tired of playing the game.
Oh,
King Kong would have definitely won.
No, I was trying to figure out, can I go? No, that wouldn't be good.
No, it would not be.
So King Kong.
King Kong would have. I mean, to this day, King Kong's effects look clunky, but they're still impressive. And that movie's almost 100 years old now. Good Lord, man.
What I like that one and that particular version of King Kong and the Peter Jackson version of King Kong.
Near perfect movie.
I like the way the ending, because they didn't change the ending.
Yeah.
Dialogue wise.
Well, that, and also they didn't change the ending as far as what happens to the great ape. But the problem with Peter Jackson's movie, and again, it was a near perfect movie, is that we all knew the story so well that people didn't go. It's unfortunate because it was a really, really good remake. My buddy John Larson said there were only 2 perfect movies in the history of film that he could remember. One of them was The Exorcist from 1972, and the other was King Kong, the Peter Jackson version. And, I'm not agreeing with him here, but I'm also not disagreeing. Those are some truly great movies here. So last weekend, as we told you on the show, Johnny and I finished the show and we went out to the theater and we saw a movie called The Late Night with the Devil. And it's one of those movies that I think I kind of drugged John along to. I don't think he knew much about it, but I've been wanting to see it. I thought it was only on the Shudder channel, but it's a Shudder production. Shudder is a horror channel that has some pretty good things. They also have the new series of Creepshow, which is god awful. But so I wanted to see this horror movie, Late Night with the Devil. Now the concept is it's a live television broadcast in 1977. There's a talk show host who's on another network than Carson. And his goal, of course, as everybody's was back then, was to beat Carson's rating, which was a near impossibility for how many years? Forever. Because Carson is truly, to this day, the king of late night television.
He did it for over 20 years, didn't he?
Longer than that, I think. Yeah. He did a long time.
Because he originally started the show. He didn't originally start the show. When he became the host, it was in New York City. And then they brought it out to California.
October 1962 to May 1992. And the one thing I'll always, I've
that's 30
never said anything bad about Carson. I've always been one of my idols. I love the way that he did things. It's unfortunate his home life wasn't as pleasant as according to things we've read since then. But on his
a lot of times
on his final night, he did a clip of some of the comics that had been on the Tonight Show through those 30 years, and he included Sam Kinison. I thought that was classy. He loved Kinison. He thought Kinison was hilarious. Anyway, so this guy he's at a point now where if he doesn't get Carson ratings, he's going to lose the show. It's going to go away. So it's Halloween night and they have a special, spooky Halloween show. They have a guy who dispels ghost theories. He's a debunker on the show. They have a guy who's a psychic who brings the dead through him to talk. And they bring on a young woman and her teacher, or what would you call her? Her professor, scientist, her therapist, maybe.
Yeah.
Therapist. And the young woman is purportedly possessed by the devil. So as the evening goes on, some weird things start to happen. Yeah, that's weird enough that these weird things are happening. But then they get the idea that, it would be really big television ratings if we could get that devil to present himself on live television. Well, you talk about your bad ideas. That's a bad idea. And I'll just leave you there with that as far as the plot is concerned. What I liked about this movie, and you and I talked about this afterwards, is that it's played out exactly like somebody found these master tapes that had been hidden in a studio somewhere, in a studio library somewhere. They found these tapes and they're presenting them for the first time since the show originally aired live. So basically you're watching a late night television show. Now there's inserts about where the commercials would occur that tell you what's going on in the background. So those are included as well. But for the most part, you're watching a late night television show. And I thought they did a really good job at presenting that. Didn't it feel like it was one of the late night television shows from that era? I really
felt like I was at the theater watching a real late night talk show.
Right. And so it played out as though it was actually something that did occur. It's like it's not a found footage film, but it is almost like the Blair Witch Project, in that here's some real events of this show that actually aired way back when, and it hasn't aired since then, like that Hawaii Five-0 television show. All these years. And the Hawaii Five-0 television show I'm talking about was called Bored She Hung Herself. And it only has aired originally the first night that it was brand new. Never aired again, never included any box sets. You can find it, but it only aired that one time ever.
And that's the original Hawaii Five-0.
Yes, back with Jack Lord. Aired one time. Now, there are some theories about it. Some of the theories are that it was hidden because a television executive's wife had hung herself, and they didn't like that episode. They put it away. As true as that might be, it wouldn't have lasted, 30 years, 35 years? No, longer than that, right? 70s. So it's almost 50 years now. So somebody would have dug that out and included it on a DVD or a box set. So I don't buy that one. Another theory is that not only is it a very controversial episode, but it's a very, it's the worst episode ever of Hawaii Five-0. There's all kinds of theories, but you can't find it. And that's kind of how Late Night with the Devil plays out as far as that's concerned. Here's this episode that aired once, and these people found the master tapes, and you get to see it again. The star, I thought, did a fantastic job. His name is, I have to look at it because it's a long name, David Dastmalchian. Now, Johnny, did you happen to watch The Rookie this week?
No, not yet. I'll watch it on Tuesday.
So you saw the previous week?
I saw the previous week.
Okay, because it's a continuation. You know the bad guy is in that show?
Same guy.
It's that same guy. Yeah. David Dastmalchian. He was excellent. He played.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I've seen
him.
No,
you go ahead. No, go ahead.
No,
you first.
No, I insist.
No, it's too late. You've seen him in what? Okay.
He played a
Glad you brought that up.
No, he's played a bad guy several times on TV. And I think the first time I saw him as a bad guy that I can remember, that I can recall. Oh, I said remember. I didn't say member.
You're getting better.
No, not really.
That's true. Next thing you'll say, werewolf.
Woof, woof.
Yeah.
That's my favorite line from Kelly's Heroes. Woof, woof.
It's a great movie, too.
The new MacGyver series.
Oh.
He played a bad guy in that. And it's the first time I recall seeing him. And he's quite good.
Oh, he was very good. He convinced you that he was a late night host. He had that. Not only did he have that on-screen charm when he was doing his show, but off-screen he had that. Oh my God, are we getting the ratings? Are we getting the ratings we need? We got to get those ratings. Yeah, he was excellent in that as well. Ian Bliss was also. I want to make sure I'm getting the right people here. Ian Bliss, I believe, played the bunker. Boy, sure doesn't look like him because it doesn't have a beard. Like
no, it doesn't. Doesn't look like him at all.
Yeah, but he was very good in it as well. As Laura Gordon played the therapist. Rice Atiri played the Ed McMahon role, and he was very good as well. I thought he was excellent as well, Rice or Reese. And we also had the young girl who played the demon-possessed woman, Ingrid Torelli. She was excellent.
Quite good. Oh.
She came out and she was like, when she first comes onto the set for the late night show, she's cold and creepy. And then as things progress, she gets scarier and scarier. Very good movie. Very interesting, I thought.
The way her face changed a few times.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. She came out, first of all, as a damaged character. You could tell she was a broken young girl. But then as things progress, and I'm trying not to give away too much here, she changes dramatically and does a very good job. I was curious, and I'm going to look this up right now, what that movie has done at the box office so far, because it was pretty busy when you and I were there. And the other thing that's interesting is that the second I got home from that movie, I texted my son, just saw Late Night with the Devil. He texted back, ha, so did we. So I wonder how it's doing. I know it's not doing Godzilla business, but let's see what it says here. Last Night with the Devil at Box Office Mojo, where I go for all my numbers here. It's grossed almost $10 million at the box office. Most of it here in the United States, almost $9 million here in the States. And I bet you the budget was dirt cheap. Let's see.
I would think, because as far as set design and all that, they could have done that at any high school or college auditorium.
Yeah, but it's not just about that. It's about the actors and the sets and all that other stuff too. So, John, I just want to remind you that we are on camera now, and that when you wave your arms like that, everybody sees you.
Sorry about that, folks. I had a terrible cough. Sorry.
I can't find the budget here. I don't see what the budget is. It just said some modest budget. So I imagine it was probably $5 million, maybe 10 million. So it's, if it's 10 million, it's got a way to go. But again, it's one of those movies that was probably made intentionally for the Shudder streaming network. So either way, they're going to get some subscribers out of it. So more power to it. So if you like horror movies and you want to see something that's a little different, Johnny and I both recommend Late Night with the Devil. It was very, very
definitely.
Good. Very good.
No, I had my was like you said in the beginning, how you drug me to it. And no, he did not drug me to go see it. I had my doubts because, I like a good scary movie. I mean, I love a vampire movie or a werewolf movie, a mummy movie, even Creature from the Black Lagoon.
What do you mean? What do you mean even? That's my favorite movie monster.
I know, that's why I added it.
I know, but you added even that one. Yeah.
Well, on my list, it's not my favorite.
Well, that's a mistake. You need to fix that.
But you notice did I say the mummy?
I don't think you did.
Okay, well, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, not the Black Zaloon. Ooh.
I do have a t-shirt that says Creature from the Black Saloon.
That is cool. But even the mummy, I like a good movie like that. So even the original, yes.
Get to it, sir.
Yes. Alfred Hitchcock, Psycho. The original Psycho. Oh, that talk about shuddering. Shudder. Ooh, get it? Shudder. Yes. And also,
I'm just letting him ramble because I have no idea where he's going.
The most famous devil movie, Rosemary's Baby.
I'm not sure that's the most famous devil movie. I would say it's probably The Exorcist.
That's what I was going for, and it came out Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, but Rosemary's Baby, very good as well.
And I've mentioned to you before where I was when I first saw
You have
The Exorcist, and I'm not going to do it again.
Thank God.
Yes. You're welcome.
I will tell you a Rosemary's Baby story because I love this story. Oh God, I forgot her name though. And I really shouldn't.
You're talking about the mother?
No,
the daughter.
No. I'm talking about an actor who wasn't in it. It was Roman Polanski directed it, and he was dating. She was murdered by.
Sharon Tate.
Sharon Tate. He was dating Sharon Tate.
Gorgeous lady.
And they were shooting the movie, and there was a scene where a character, I think it was probably the mother, she was sitting in one room, and Ruth Gordon was in the other room on the telephone, and the scene showed Mia Farrow in the front, right? Mm-hmm. And behind her, you saw Ruth Gordon in the room with the door open. Well, Polanski got in there and he closed the door, so you just couldn't see Ruth. You could see into the room, but you couldn't see Ruth in the phone. You could still hear her, and the cinematographer said, why are you doing that? You can't see her. And Polanski said, "You'll see." And the guy says, "No, that doesn't work." Polanski says, "You'll see." And so he went home and he told Sharon Tate about that. And she said, "Well, why would you do that? You wanted to know what he goes, "You'll see." So at one of the premieres of the movie, they were sitting there, Polanski and Sharon Tate, and that scene comes on. And when Mia Farrow looks down the hallway to look into that room where Ruth Gordon is on the phone, the entire audience leaned over to try to see past the door. And Polanski turned to her and said, "That's why." I thought that's a great filmmaking story. That is pure genius. Something that guy thought of at that point, that it brought the audience into the movie. It's just friggin' genius.
I bet you anything that he was truly influenced by Alfred Hitchcock.
Isn't every filmmaker who ever walked the face of the earth, except for the ones that were before him, I guess?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly.
When we did the movie we did at the restaurant, Searching for Inspiration.
Yes.
Same thing. Especially The dead guy.
John always has to talk about how good he was as a dead guy.
I was good.
And you know what? He'll be good again as a dead guy.
Hey, wait, what?
Anyway, yeah,
What do you know that I don't know?
I just love that story about him. And yeah, you're right. There's a lot of devil movies, and most of the time I don't like devil movies because I have a hard time believing in the devil. And why would God create somebody who's got so much power that God can't stop him? Anybody? No, I ain't buying him. So
there was a movie long time ago. It came out in 1975. It's called Race with the Devil.
It's one of my favorite movies ever. And it's not a great movie. At one point, Tarantino was fooling around about remaking that. And I thought, I'll pay right. Here's my money. Take it now. Race with the Devil was Warren Oates and Peter Fonda.
Yep.
Loretta Swit. And one other actor whose name I can't remember. Laura Parker. And they witness a satanic sacrifice. Mm-hmm. And they have to try to escape from the Satanists who have to kill them now because they've witnessed this. And it's a chase movie more than anything else. And it's just so much fun. I saw that movie probably 40 times in theaters because it was in that era where I had just started getting free movies. And that's what me and my buddies did. We went and watched free movies all day long.
And if I remember correctly, the 4 people were in a RV,
right?
Towing a trailer full of motorcycles.
They were on a motorcycle trip, so that's true. My favorite line from that movie is they're driving along and they're trying to get away from the bad guys, and there's all this traffic in front of them. Well, they realize that there's construction going on or something, but they also realize that there's a school bus sitting there in front of them. And Warren Oates turns to Peter Fonda and he goes, "A school bus on Sunday? I ain't buying it." And he says Sunday. The school bus on Sunday? I ain't buying it. Like Sunday. But
Warren Oates was a
legend. Friggin' legend.
One of my favorite movies that he was in, where he played a drill instructor sergeant, a DI.
Stripes.
Yes. He was so good in that.
Easy it is to predict it. Didn't he get an Oscar nomination for that?
He might have.
I want to think that he did. And whether he did or not, I still want to think it. All right, so moving on, Curb Your Enthusiasm came to a close this past Sunday evening. It had been on the air. Take a guess, top of your head. How long had Curb been on the air, Johnny?
15?
Try 24.
Wow.
24 years of Curb Your Enthusiasm, 12 seasons, because Larry didn't do it on any particular thing. As everybody knows, Larry David is the co-creator of the Seinfeld television show. As most people know, he gets a lot of crap for the series finale, which a lot of people said wasn't very good. Larry says, "You're wrong. It was very good. I was there." He has always defended the season finale for Curb Your Enthusiasm, for Seinfeld. So here we are at the season finale of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Now, first of all, it was the funniest episode of the entire season. Not the series, because there's just way too many funny episodes to that. I can tell you there were times that I laughed so hard, and it's not a joke, I fell out of my chair laughing at Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm. That show just floored me. I guess that's where the term comes from. You fall out of your chair, you're floored. I didn't think about that.
Unless you're in space and you fall out of your chair and you float to the top.
Okay. And anyway, so he needed to nail this finale for obvious reasons. And the season starts out with Larry telling everybody that he can tell that he's 76 years old and he hasn't learned any lesson yet. And people keep asking him, "Haven't you learned your lesson?" He's like, that's how Larry does. Well, he did learn his lesson, and Curb Your Enthusiasm ended perfectly. It could not have ended any better with its stream of guest stars, and Bruce Springsteen was terrific, and it's so funny. It just ended exactly like I wanted it to. So I know that I'm in trouble because they're going to release the complete series of Curb Your Enthusiasm on Blu-ray, and it's going to be $300, and I'm going to buy it because I don't ever want to be without my Curb.
You realize your wife is probably listening.
That's all right. She'll go, "There's nothing I can do. I can't stop him." She didn't like Curb for many years because of all the screeching. They're always yelling at each other, and Larry is just such a jerk. But eventually she goes, "You know what? I may not like some of these people, but damn, this is funny." She fell in love with Susie, who is Jeff Garland's wife on the show. And she just loved the way that Susie was so overreactive and the way she dressed. And it's just a great show.
I really never cared that much for the show. I tried and I tried and I tried, just didn't care for it.
A lot of people are that way because it's so annoying.
But I got to tell you, with that being said, my favorite film that Larry David was in was The Three Stooges, where he played the Mother Superior. Oh God, he was great.
His best movie role ever. He was in a Woody Allen movie too that a lot of people raved about, but I just didn't really care for. But yeah, he was terrific in The Three Stooges. So if you haven't seen Curb Your Enthusiasm, I'm surprised because HBO is pouring tons of money into advertising this thing. They must have made a mint off of it. And I know Larry did. I think that his net worth is now sitting at about $1.5 billion. So of course that's a lot of Seinfeld money, but it's a lot of Curb money too.
And Seinfeld, somewhere, it's like the Simpsons or even the Flintstones, somewhere in this world, there's episodes of Seinfeld still being played.
Oh, it's huge still. It's that's the big sale came a few years ago where they sold it for $3 billion. Yeah. Flintstones? Where's Flintstones playing?
Oh, I had to throw that in there for the cartoon crowd.
Unfortunately, it's probably Pokemon these days.
Yeah. Speaking of Flintstones, yes, I did like the movie, but I really.
Which movie? There were 3.
There was?
Yeah.
The one with John Goodman.
Okay.
I mean, who else would you get to play?
John Goodman
Fred
was
Flintstone?
very good in that.
And I don't remember who. Oh, wait a minute. Barney, wasn't that played by the Canadian actor?
Rick Moranis.
Yeah, Rick Moranis. Wasn't that?
I think it was. The Flintstones was 1994. The Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas was 2000.
I didn't see that one.
Maybe there was only 2. I would have swore there were 3. But anyway, John Goodman, Rick Moranis, and Mark Addy and Stephen Baldwin for the Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas. Interesting. Okay, so anyway, that's it for Curb Your Enthusiasm. Again, if you haven't seen it, and if you have that style of humor, because you got to be ready for some screeching and yelling. You got to be ready for some profanity. JB Smoove on that show just leaves me in stitches every time he talks because he has this natural ability to curse. It just works beautifully. Everybody in that show is terrific. And, Richard Lewis is the last thing he did. And
I do remember seeing an episode, at least 1 or 2, possibly 2, that had Richard Lewis.
He did many episodes. He and Larry were friends since high school. Since school. I don't even know if it was high school, maybe earlier than that. And so they worked together. And you can tell when they work together, they're just natural. They're buddies talking. He was an important part of that. And there was a video floating around of the final scene. And then the director comes out and said, "That's a wrap on the funniest show ever made." And Richard Lewis gives up and gives a speech that will tear your heart because you know that doesn't have long after that was done. And he just goes on about how much he loves Larry and how much he thanks Larry for saving his career and whatever. And it's heartrending. And it's Curb Your Enthusiasm was like The Simpsons, was like those other shows where actors want to be on it. I want to be on Curb, get me on Curb. And they asked Larry in an interview recently if there was, and of course, standard Larry answer, if there was anybody he really wanted to get on Curb Your Enthusiasm, but couldn't get. And Larry said, "No." I asked him if they said no, I found somebody else. And he goes, "You know what? Sometimes it worked out better."
This is not a product placement because we're not getting paid that I know of for this, what I'm fixing to say.
Okay.
Do you remember the Snickers commercial with Richard Lewis?
I don't. I remember the one with Betty White, but I don't remember the Richard Lewis one.
I remember Betty White. Also, she was in with the TV show that ultimately became The Connors.
Roseanne?
Yeah, Roseanne. Oh, I forgot her last name.
Barr.
Yeah, Roseanne Barr. And there was one that had Richard Lewis. Now, I don't remember the whole setup, but I do remember that it had Richard Lewis in, and it was funny. Oh, it was so funny.
We'll have to look that up and find it.
Yeah. But it's a Snickers commercial, Snickers candy bar with Richard Lewis.
Richard Lewis is a very funny actor. He was, what did they say on the, there's a podcast about Curb Your Enthusiasm with Jeff Garlin and Susie Essman. And they said that Richard Lewis was, if you thought he was excitable on screen, you should have seen him off screen. But they all loved him dearly. So, Johnny, have you seen things you want to talk about?
You. And the reason why I say you,
that's freaky, dude.
Yeah. Scotty, also known as R. Scott Bolton, is an author. And if you have Amazon.com, you look up R. Scott Bolton books. And there is my favorite word, plethora.
It's a word nobody knows what it means, but it's his favorite word.
Of R. Scott Bolton books. And it runs the gambit from fantasy, science fiction, scary, to murder mystery, to good reading.
I have a series of detective novels by the Brace Heller series. It's about a detective here in Ventura. I have a series about H.B. Fist, which is a science fiction, silly science fiction that takes place in the future. Lots of action. We also have Neath, which is a haunted house story. And we also have Dead Dick,
John's my favorite
book. And it's about a detective who gets he has to solve a mystery from purgatory, basically. And then we have, did I mention Neath, Story of a Haunting?
Mm-hmm.
It is a
well, you didn't say it was a haunting. You said that
Neath is it's a haunted house story. So anyway, yeah, please check it out. You can go to amazon.com/author/R. Scott Bolton, and it'll pull up my page, and you can click any of the books. They're all available on Kindle as well. I'm going to be writing some shorter stories this year, novellas that will only be available on Kindle.
Wait, I still get a copy.
Yeah, you should get a Kindle.
My favorite, as Scotty said, is Dead Dick. The latest that's out right now, they're all out right now, but the latest that's out is Death and the Mogul. It's a very good read. As a matter of fact, every one of Scott's books are exceptionally good read.
I would disagree with you, but I don't want to.
And I am on pins and needles. I'm even on my tippy toes, which I am right now. I know that's weird. For the next book I get to read.
My plan is, even though it's not ready, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. My plan is to get you a printed copy of Bowling Bag in the Backseat, so you'll have something to do while you're taking care of my dogs while I'm in Hawaii. So I just got to figure out how I'm going to do it. That printer that you sent me, by the way, I wonder if it's still available, because for $25 it'd be worth. The guy says it's good and it works, so I might contact him and see what's up with that.
Okay,
because that I need a laser printer. I got to have a laser printer if I'm going to be printing books.
Even if it lasts a month, at least you can get something out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for $25, I might.
Yeah, that's cheaper than going to. I started to say Kinko's.
Oh yeah, it's going to cost me $7 a copy to print those things up, if not more, and I can't do that. That's crazy. But I need to buy a laser printer, and if I can get that one for $25, you're right. It lasts me 2 months. At least I get that use out of it. So yeah, I might reach out to the guy. All right, moving on. My wife was in Wyoming last weekend, so I spent a lot of time sitting at home watching movies. I watched a great Viggo Mortensen movie directed by David Cronenberg called Eastern Promises. Now, you think of David Cronenberg, and you typically think of bizarre science fiction or horror movies, but the guy's capable of a whole lot more than that. And Eastern Promises, you ready for this, Johnny? It's a gangster movie. And it's intense. It's one of those gangster movies where they're slitting people's throats. They don't just draw the razor blade across the throat. They saw. So that gives you an idea of how brutal this movie is. But it's a terrific story with a terrific cast, and highly recommended that. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was, why is that funny?
No, it's just because, well, I wrote down Shelley in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Okay, then I jumped to the next one, Eastern Promises, and I thought you were going to talk more about that.
I'm done with that. Now we're moving on to the Dollars Trilogy. Because
Dollars?
I had never seen the Dollars Trilogy.
I thought you were going to say the dollar store. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You need to stop with that. I thought you were going to say.
I know.
Fistful of Dollars with Clint Eastwood. I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
Oh, I don't remember it either.
So I sat down and I watched all three of them, because there's three that are the unofficial trilogy of the Dollars movies. There's Fistful of Dollars, there's For a Few Dollars More, and there's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which of course is considered a classic Western of all time. So I sat down and I watched all three. I can't tell you how much better they were than I remembered. And I don't know that I've ever seen them in their entirety. I think maybe I've only seen clips, but I started with A Fistful of Dollars, which means I'm on the wrong screen here because I got the wrong thing. There we go. Fistful of Dollars. I was impressed. First of all, I was watching a 4K print from Max. Crystal clear. Couldn't have been a better image. Couldn't have been better sound. It was like I was watching a 4K disc or something. It was beautiful. And it's the stories are brutal. They're violent. Eastwood's character is just perfect. What's his character's name?
The Man with No Name.
See, that's wrong.
Well, that's every time
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, you know why that exists? I learned this because I'm watching Fistful of Dollars and they keep calling him Joe. And I thought it was the Man with No Name, but they kept calling him Joe. And I thought, well, maybe it's because he's an American. They're calling him Joe. And I go, no, that would be World War II. That wouldn't be then.
I don't remember which movie it was, but Eli Wallach also called him Blondie.
Why don't you let me finish before stealing my thunder?
I'm sorry. My bad. Seriously, my bad.
Anyway, so they call him Joe. And then in For a Few Dollars More, his name is Malakon. They call him Malakon. And so I'm watching the second one. I'm going, well, wait, this isn't the Man with No Name. This is the Man with a Name. And then in the third one, strangely enough, they call him Blondie. That's John already spoiled for everybody. So why is this considered the Man with No Name series?
I don't know.
Now it could be, those are all nicknames. Maybe Malakon means something in Spanish. I don't know. So maybe he doesn't have a name. He's always got nicknames. I don't think Blondie's his real name. So I did some research. MGM decided to market that trilogy, which isn't even an official trilogy. Sergio Leone never intended it to be a trilogy, just three separate Westerns, as the Man with No Name series. Even though he has a name, but that's how they marketed it. So it was just a marketing trick. I didn't know that. I thought that was fascinating.
Have you ever seen a bad Clint Eastwood Western? I mean, it really,
well, we'll talk about that in a second. Let me finish with these first. So I started off with A Fistful of Dollars, and I was impressed. I thought, wow, this is amazing. And like I said, the print was absolutely gorgeous. I went on to A Few Dollars More. Same thing. Just amazed by how great the print was. There's a scene in that movie that is so brutal. I can't believe that anybody ever filmed it. A bad guy goes to the sheriff's house, and the sheriff's standing there with his wife and his little boy. And the sheriff knows he's in trouble because the bad guy's got all those people there and he's all mad because he's been in jail because of that sheriff. And so he asked the sheriff, how old is that little boy? And the sheriff is all, and the wife's all, he's 1.5 years old. And the bad guy says, that's about how long I was in jail. Jerks his head. One of the other bad guys, one of his minions, takes the little boy out and shoots him.
Remember that scene.
Holy crap. Well, you don't see it. You just hauls the little boy off. The mom screams and cries and bam, the kid's not screaming anymore.
I don't remember that entire setup.
It's wild. It blew my freaking mind. It's like, this is brutal stuff, man. But it's a very good movie. And the good news is, like a John Wick movie, the bad guy is going to get his eventually. And they do. And then we came to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which everybody knows is a classic. And I know I've seen more recently than the other two because I didn't remember any of those other two movies. But a lot of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I remember. Like you said, Eli Wallach is just amazing in it. So who are the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
Okay, who's that?
Okay, the good, obviously, is Clint Eastwood.
Okay.
The bad is...
a legend.
Oh, yes.
Lee Van Cleef.
Lee Van Cleef. And ugly, of course, is Eli Wallach.
Do I wonder how Eli Wallach felt about being the ugly?
Tell you what, everything I ever saw him in was fantastic.
The last thing I saw him, and I think you and I saw this together when we were working for Bert at the producers. There was a 30 Rock.
Yeah, no, it wasn't
Not 30 Rock. It was
something very similar.
because it was the same basis.
Mm-hmm.
It was Matthew Perry. Let's see if that comes up.
It was so.
It's
good.
important that we meant to get this show for you. So I'm sorry for delaying things here for a second, guys. But Studio 60 and the Sunset Strip, a great series. Eli Wallach shows up to Studio 60, and he's like this doddering old man, and they're all worried that he's got dementia or something, that he's wandered into this thing. But then he starts saying things, and you realize that he is an old star from what, the 30s, maybe 40s, who did stuff at that studio, and he's remembering as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
He was nominated for an Emmy, didn't win, should have won. That performance just gutted you.
It was.
And
it's just. I got to go back. I hope that is available someplace because
you know what? Let's look it up because it was. If you folks haven't seen Studio, what is it again? 60?
Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
Looks like you can buy it on YouTube, $1.99 an episode. Let's see if there's anywhere else.
How many episodes was it? I know it was one season.
I think it was just one season. Yeah. It says it's on YouTube. It's on Google Play Movies instead of Amazon Prime. You got to pay for all of them. They're all $1.99 an episode. It's worth it. $2 an episode. It's worth it. It's that good. So check that out if you folks get a chance. If you haven't seen it, and one of Matthew Perry's best roles, written and created by Aaron Sorkin. It was just an amazing, amazing television show.
It looks like it's available on Amazon.com for the complete series.
It is, but you got to pay $2 an episode.
Oh,
you could buy the discs.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested.
I imagine. In. So that's not it. That's the whole.
Oh.
You can buy the whole season for $27. 22 episodes. That's more than I thought.
Yeah, that's worth it.
Yeah. So anyway, Eli Wallach was terrific in that. So the bottom line is that I watched these movies. 2 of them I don't think I've ever seen before. And the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly I had seen more recently. It's funny because many years ago, my son and I always watched movies together when he was living at home. And one night I said, hey, let's watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He said, I don't want to watch a Western. Oh, okay. So 10 years later, 15 years later, whatever it is, he calls me. Why didn't you ever tell me about The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? And I go, I did. I tried to get you to watch it. He goes, oh my God, it was so good. Which brings us to another topic here, but on the same page. He told me to look up a movie that doesn't tie in to these other movies, but it's another one of the Italian Westerns. And I found it on YouTube. And he said that he watched a few minutes of it and he thought it looked great. It's called A Bullet for the General.
I've heard that title.
And here's the other interesting thing. Do you know who was in For a Few Dollars More? I mean, you know who's in. You know who you don't know. Why would I ask you that? That's the wrong question. Klaus Kinski is in For a Few Dollars More.
That's right. He played one of the bad guys.
Yeah, I didn't know that. All of a sudden, I'm watching the titles. Klaus Kinski. Well, Klaus Kinski is also in A Bullet for the General, which you can check out on YouTube and again, really nice, high quality. Not as good as the Dollars Trilogy that I watched. All of it on Max, by the way. And I also have the Blu-ray of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Actually, because I'm kind of stupid sometimes, I have 2 copies of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because they were on sale for $5 at Big Lots. And I bought one week, and then a couple weeks later went back. Oh, Good, Bad, I should get that. Bought it again.
Forgot yet. Well,
I do that all the time.
Okay.
So it's good for my son because hey, Josh, you want this Blu-ray? Yeah, got it.
Well, he's got a birthday coming up, right?
He does.
Hey, there you go. You already got it.
That's right. Here's your Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Anyway, so
you didn't tell him you had 2 copies.
I already asked him if he wanted.
Well, he
it.
probably knows now.
Yeah, he does. So A Bullet for the General is recommended, and again, you can find that on YouTube. And it looks, I haven't watched it, so if it's not as good, don't blame me. But he said that a lot of people recommended it when he was talking about those movies, and so that link is there. So A Bullet for the General on YouTube. YouTube's got some great stuff you can watch. You got to watch commercials, and they put them in badly, but if you can't find anywhere else, there's nothing wrong with YouTube because, YouTube is the home of some of the greatest shows and podcasts in the history of the entire world. I mean, you're watching one right now.
I was going to say, I've got one for you right now.
Yeah.
It's the Backseat Mogul show.
That's right.
One of my favorite movies with Clint Eastwood. How do I say one of my favorite? They're all my favorites. Pale Rider.
Pale Rider's a good one.
Now I think
Outlaw Josie Wales. Not sure you can beat that.
but I think the Pale Rider, is that the one where he didn't have a name?
I'm not going to say yes to that. After we just found out that those three
is Pale. Now I'm getting.
I'm not going to say yes to that after we just found out the man with no name has names.
Yeah, I'm getting some of my Clint Eastwood movies confused.
It's what a shock
Is Pale Rider, is that the one where he goes to that town and has them paint everything red?
No, that's Paint 'em Red.
No.
It's not. It's High Plains Drifter.
Oh, okay. That another great.
Yeah,
which I don't
that's
think
High
he had.
Plains Drifter. I don't remember what he does in Pale Rider. Pale Rider is one of the tamer westerns.
Mhm.
You know, like his masterpiece. I said you really can't beat that. I was wrong. Unforgiven is Eastwood's masterpiece, and it's a tamer western too. Even though it's not, the themes are darker, the themes are deeper, and the violence is still there. But God, there's a movie, man. That's incredible.
Yeah, I think Pale Rider is the one where he goes to that gold mine town, and he's a preacher.
When property owner Coy LaHood, Richard Dysart, starts using a band of hooligans to terrorize a group of small-town gold miners into giving up their territory, an enigmatic man named Preacher, Clint Eastwood, arrives in town. Preacher fends off the attacks and then goes directly to LaHood to negotiate. When the miners, led by Hull Barrett, Michael Moriarty, refuse the terms, LaHood sends in Marshall Stockburn, John Russell, to take down Preacher and the others, and we all know how well that's going to go for them.
Oh, I got to tell you, John Russell was great.
I would like to see Pale Rider again. I'd like, and I recently watched Outlaw Josie Wales because some people were saying it was the greatest Western ever made. Yeah, I can't argue against that. It's up there if it's not.
It's up on the same shelf level that I would put. God, I hate it when I do that.
So does the rest of the audience.
And then it just went.
Right now, the audience is screaming again, really again.
Yes, but then they're sitting back going, "He did it again."
That's what you think.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to think.
Anyway, so do we have anything, or are you lost?
It was a big shoot 'em up. William Holden,
That's
Ernest
helping a lot.
Borgnine, The Wild Bunch.
Oh, okay. It's a great movie.
Oh yeah, it's great. So that's what I mean. I would put Clint Eastwood's westerns.
No, you can't say that because some of them aren't very good. Some of them are better than others.
Okay, name a bad.
I'm
not
not going to go through
very
the list.
good.
I'm not going to go through them right now, but
Okay.
there's some that aren't very good.
Western.
Yeah, there's some that aren't very good. See, your problem is you love all westerns. If there was a western about horse dung, you'd think it was the greatest western ever. You like them too much. You can't. You're too close to it.
I like
Back
Cowboys and Aliens.
But
I know your point.
just made for me. That was perfect. Yeah, but there's some that aren't as good as others. I mean, you can't compare Pale Rider, as good as it is, to Unforgiven. Unforgiven's better. It's
Oh, Unforgiven was great. What was the movie he did where he plays? I believe he plays a Union soldier during the Civil War, and he gets wounded, and these ladies take care of him.
that was a good one too.
Yeah, and I can't think of what the name of it was.
It's right in the tip of my tongue.
Oh, you're turning. You're learning from
No,
me.
because I didn't bring it up. The Beguiled.
The Beguiled.
Yes.
Good movie.
Yes. The Beguiled is a 1971 American Southern Gothic psychological thriller. Thought it was a Western. Don Siegel. What else did Don Siegel direct?
It was a Western.
I'm just
I mean,
saying.
he didn't direct. It was a
that
Western.
was
That would be a good title for a movie. It was a Western.
Okay. Once again, made me lose my train of thought.
You're welcome.
No, not.
Don Siegel.
Oh yeah. What else did he direct?
Say
Dirty Harry.
What you said.
Dirty Harry.
Oh, the Harry movies were great. Not a Western,
Okay,
although they
see,
did take
again,
place in the West.
They weren't all great. Some of them were far less superior than others. I compared Deadpool to the original Dirty Harry. Yeah, not great, but still watchable because it's Dirty Harry. I always thought that last movie. No, it's not his last movie by any stretch. And I see here I am bringing up a movie I can't remember the title for.
You remember what it's about?
It's named after a car.
My mother? No.
No. It's the name of a car.
Oh, Torino.
Gran Torino. Gran Torino should have been a Dirty Harry movie. I really think that if you think about that movie and put Dirty Harry in his retirement in that movie would have been way better.
You know, as big as a Clint Eastwood fan I am, I don't believe I've ever seen that movie. I need to see that movie.
You do need to see that movie. It's very good. It's very, very good. All right, one last thing, and then we're out of here, and we're out of here for 3 weeks, folks, because I'm going away.
Promise?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Wait a minute. That means no show for 3 weeks.
That's exactly what it means. We'll be playing some repeats. We'll have repeats from 5 years ago each time. So as close to 5 years ago as I can get, I'm going to plug those episodes in for the listeners. Nothing here on YouTube, I'm afraid, unless we do something live from Hawaii, but we'll see how it goes. All right. So finally, I want to talk about this. This is the new show starring Michael Douglas, Franklin, in which Michael Douglas plays Ben Franklin. This is on Apple TV Plus. It's the story of it's just the story of Ben Franklin and what went on with him during
electrifying.
Well, he talks about that because he shows up. So I think he shows up in France, and there's all these people waiting to see him like he's a rock star. And his assistant goes, "Why are all these people here?" And he goes, "Because they think I discovered electricity. Don't let them think otherwise." It was very funny. It's not a comedy by any stretch. In fact, that's the problem for it. That's the main problem. It's very dry. It's very good. Don't get me wrong. It's telling the story. It's historically interesting. I'm not going to say accurate because I don't. Who knows? But it's very dramatic and very interesting. But it's very dry. There's not a lot of humor in it. There's not a lot of passion in it. I'm comparing it to the John Adams series that Paul Giamatti did for HBO. Brilliant, passionate, fiery. This doesn't have that fire yet. Now I'm only on episode 1, so maybe it'll get better. One of my concerns was that Michael Douglas, he's got that cityfied voice. You know, how is that going to play with Franklin? He does pretty good. He does need to put on the little round glasses though, because that would help him a lot in that character. But it's very interesting, and I believe it's one of Douglas's passion projects, something he's wanted to do for a long time. But so far, just a little dry. But you know, if you're a fan of those kind of period historical pieces, you're going to eat this up. But I need a little more fire and passion for it.
Do you remember the first thing that you ever saw Michael Douglas in?
It would probably be The Streets of San Francisco.
Quinn Martin production, if I remember correctly.
Thanks, John. That's very helpful.
I'm surprised.
See, now you know that John knows. Watch it, because at the end of every show, this has been a Quinn Martin production.
I'm surprised. I could remember that, but I couldn't remember the Wild Bunch.
Well, it's like those, you know, it's like my wife says. You can't remember where we parked the car, but you can quote all of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, well,
that's true. All right, folks. So we will be gone for the next 3 weeks. Our next show won't be until, hold on. I'm going to look it up right now. I believe it's going to be, I get back then, May 11th will be our next show. So May 11th, come back here and join us on the Backseat Mogul show. There will be, as I said, there'll be audio shows you can listen to. So check those out. And that's pretty much it. Johnny, you got anything else to say?
Visit your local theaters, especially if it's a mom and pop theater. There are some great movies out there.
Go see Late Night with the Devil. You'll like it.
Really good. And I'm not going to go through the list of our corner theater.
We don't have time.
But you can go on Google Buenaventura 6 and it'll pull up what you need to know.
You know, they're not paying us either. Why are we?
Nobody's paying us to do this that I'm aware of. Well, it's not my fault, not my concern.
That's right. If I was getting paid, you would know about it. Okay.
Well, no. If you were getting paid to do this, well, it's all going into the show. So there you go.
Dude, we're so deep in the hole in these shows. It's not even funny, but damn it, we love it. All right, folks, we'll see you in 3 weeks. Thanks for listening.
Hey, have a fun,
watching.
Scotty, have a fun time in Hawaii.
I will if the rain stops. It's bad out there.
Yeah. Bring your raincoat.
Wait
a minute. You don't need a raincoat.
No, 70 degrees. You don't mind if it's raining.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See you, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Brought to you by The Grape, Ventura County's premier jazz venue and cocktail lounge, located at 2733 East Main Street in Ventura. For menu and music schedule, visit them online at thegrape.club. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.